Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be doing the best case scenario for the Democrats in the 2022 Senate elections. There are the midterm elections coming up in about 2 to 3 days, depending on how you characterize it. Is this the Senate map or the governor map? I think the special election for Oklahoma was actually messed up. Yeah. Um, the midterms coming up in a few days. I did the best case scenario for the Republicans, given the fact that it is November 6th and the midterms are on November 8th. It's on Tuesday. This is Sunday. I'll be coming out with my governor predictions, my final Senate predictions, my final House predictions in the next pretty much day, tomorrow, because the day after that's election day. It'll probably be 2 videos out tomorrow, and maybe I'll have one more video on actual election day covering the midterm elections, and obviously we'll be going into 2024. But before I begin this video, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have, gained so many subscribers, especially right after my last Senate election prediction. I'm so grateful for that. We already are above 600, and now we're on the way to 700. So if you've not subscribed, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get right into the Senate prediction. Now, this is the best case scenario for the Democrats. Just to be fair, I did one for the Republicans, even though, it's going to be a red wave year. I'm going to be fair and do one for the Democrats as well. Let's get into our safe Democrat states. Safe Democrat states will be many of the states that I put as likely previously in the regular Senate election prediction. That'll get them to 44. Washington won't be safe even in a best case scenario. Patty Murray is pretty vulnerable in Washington. Now, in a best case scenario, it'll be likely, but it won't be safe. Safe Republican states will be the usuals. I'm going to keep Alaska as a safe Republican state. Democrats don't really have a chance there. Missouri as well. Schmidt, I'm going to put him as a safe state, but I will leave Iowa out of it. Grassley possibly could enter that likely category, so I will leave Iowa out of it. So that puts Democrats at 44 seats. Heading into our likely races, Patty Murray in Washington is a likely Democrat race, as well as Colorado with Michael Bennet. Those are the two likely Democrat races. Patty Murray is the top 3 Democrat in the Senate. She's been running, not the best campaign in Washington. Of course, they have a very interesting political, the way that things work over there. But she's up around 3 points aggregate in the polls. When you look at the RCP map, you can see that that race has significantly narrowed up. Previously in 2016, she did win by 18 points, but when you go back to the red wave election year in 2010, she only won by 3.8 points. So you have to take that into account. But in a best case scenario, assuming that the Democrats are able to somewhat turn things around in the next day or so, that'll give her the likely win. Likely Republican states. I'm going to put Mike Lee in Utah as a likely Republican state, Chuck Grassley in Iowa as a likely Republican state, and I do believe that Florida will remain a likely Republican state regardless of a best case scenario. Marco Rubio is running a phenomenal campaign against Val Demings. You can see that the massive Hispanic shift, especially among Cuban Americans in Florida, continues to cement itself in Florida. I'm going to give Republicans that likely state in Florida. And now let's head into our lean state. So a lean Democrat state. There's going to be 2 lean Democrat states. The first lean Democrat state is the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire has significantly narrowed up between Maggie Hassan and I'm forgetting this guy's name, Don Bolduc. The most accurate pollster in New Hampshire history, St. Anselm Polls, has Bolduc winning the election. I'm not sure if they're going to come out with another one, but I mean, you can see that this has significantly narrowed up. At one point, not like a few days ago, Bolduc actually took the lead. Hassan, regained it, but only by about a little bit, and that was mostly because of this Emerson poll that came out. But the Daily Wire Trafalgar poll, another Republican pollster, had him up 1. And you can just see how this race has narrowed up. However, if they're able to start turning things around, you can see that Hassan is beginning to regain somewhat of a lead. She'll end up winning by a lean margin, probably about 2 to 3 point victory by Hassan. If that doesn't happen, this is only a best case scenario, but she'll win 2 to 3 points, I would say, in New Hampshire. And then my other lean Democrat state would be the state of Arizona with Mark Kelly versus Blake Masters. Kelly's been leading in the polls. He's pretty much led in every single poll that was made. There's only been one poll that he hasn't led, and Masters hasn't led either. Actually, 2 polls, 2 ties with Emerson and Fox 10 Insider Advantage, which is another Republican pollster. But almost every other poll Kelly has led in. So Blake Masters is going to very much hope for a polling undersampling in the state if he wants a shot at winning. Now, in my regular prediction, I do have him winning, but Kelly is up, and he very well could win by a lead margin. Very well could win by the same margins that he won in 2020, the same margin that Sinema won in 2018. I believe she won by about 2.4 points as well. That would put him in the lean category in the best case scenario. It wouldn't be as strong of a red wave and Kelly would still be able to win Arizona by a lean margin. Republicans would be able to win Ohio by a lean margin. J.D. Vance, I still believe, would defeat Tim Ryan. Ted Budd in North Carolina would still be able to win the state of North Carolina by a lean margin, but those will be the only lean Republican states, making it a tied Senate 48-48 at the moment. Now we have 4 states left to project. Let's head into, we'll go back and forth, but I'll do the first tilt Republican state because it's, in my mind, the easiest one. Wisconsin with Ron Johnson versus Mandela Barnes. Ron Johnson at the debate, I would say he did not have the best debate performance, especially, that ending scene, that ending part where they were each supposed to say something nice about each other, and basically Ron Johnson said, Mandela Barnes had a good upbringing. I don't know why he's such a terrible person today. And that was supposed to be his compliment about Mandela Barnes. Now, I don't think that came off as intended, or he understood exactly what the question was meant by, but obviously that's not the best sight. However, he is doing very well in the polls in Wisconsin, relatively for the Rust Belt Republican senator. He's pretty popular. And I do think he will end up winning, even in a Democrat best case scenario. Wisconsin will go red, especially in the Senate race. Ron Johnson will win in the regular polls. He's up in the aggregate by about 1 to 2 points. I think he's leading by 1.8 or 2.8, actually. So a very good lead. Trafalgar, actually a very accurate pollster in Wisconsin, especially. Now, they're not as accurate in states like Arizona or Georgia, but in Wisconsin, they are very accurate, and they have Johnson up 3. I think that could be something is similar to happen. Now, Democrat best case scenario, you're going to narrow that up about 2 points. So I'll put it at Johnson wins by a tilt margin. Let's head into a tilt Democrat state now. The next tilt Democrat state that I believe would be happening would be the state of Pennsylvania with Mehmet Oz and John Fetterman. Now, after John Fetterman's debate performance, a lot of people have shifted. The polls have significantly shifted. You saw Dr. Oz take the lead in many polls. Recently, he's been up 2 to 3 points. There was that one Marist poll, that one New York Times poll, but Oz overall doing very well after that debate performance. Now, in the best case scenario, you assume that the debate did not have the effect that many people intended it had. Fetterman would still be able to narrowly win that race. He wins by a tilt margin in the best case scenario for the Democrats. So now we're headed into our final 2 states, the state of Nevada and the state of Georgia. I believe that the Democrats could be able to tilt the state of Georgia in their favor. Raphael Warnock, still very, very close race against Herschel Walker, especially if this race goes to a runoff, which it very likely could. Both of these people are obviously polling below 50%. If it goes to a runoff, Raphael Warnock has a very, very good shot at taking that Senate race. And I do assume that this race will go to a runoff election. But yes, Raphael Warnock, the incumbent, very popular in the Atlanta area, popular among African Americans. Herschel Walker, of course, a staple in Georgia. But in a best case scenario, as I want to repeat this because it is a best case scenario, Warnock would narrowly win that race against Walker. And then the final race in Nevada, which in my mind is the most interesting race, you have Adam Laxalt, who has been just pummeling ahead in the polls. I mean, he's doing exceptionally well in the polls. There have been 2 polls with Cortez Masto even up in the election, Nevada Independent and this USA Today poll. But we have Susquehanna with him up 5. You have Trafalgar with him up 5. Emerson with him up 5, which is a left-leaning pollster. You have Insider Advantage with him up 6 points. Looking at those polls, I mean, he looking like you see Hispanic shift, especially among in Nevada, in Arizona, in Texas, in Florida. You're seeing that here. That is in large part leading to that. Also, the fact that a lot of the progressive sides, Bernie Sanders socialist side, has taken over of the Democrat Party in Nevada, has led to the decline of Democrat support in Nevada. However, this is very, very unprecedented, seeing Laxalt up 4, 5, 6 points in many of the polls. Obviously, I'm excluding the 2 polls with Cortez Masto. I think that they're more outliers. I think Laxalt is probably up those similar margins, not 5, maybe he's up 3 to 4 points. I do think in the best case scenario for the Democrats, that will, of course, narrow up. But I still think that Laxalt will manage to win the state of Nevada, even in a best case scenario at this point. Laxalt is the former AG of Nevada. He's very popular there. He's been performing exceptionally well in almost all of the polls that have come out. And I do think that he will narrowly end up winning that, even if the Democrats perform as good as they can possibly perform. So anyway, let me go back to the regular shades that the states you can see, so we can go through the best case scenario. So in the best case scenario, the Democrats do retain a majority in the Senate. I guess you could say they retain a one vote majority with Kamala Harris breaking the tie 50-50. However, very, very underwhelming, especially considering this is a Democrat best case scenario. I know a lot of people will probably disagree with this, but I still think Republicans would retain Wisconsin and Nevada, even in a best case scenario at this point. Many people would probably say you should flip Wisconsin, Nevada, possibly Ohio. I just don't think that that is what's going to happen in any way. I don't think that they have a shot at those states. Really, I think that they should be focusing on retaining Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and New Hampshire. Those are where the Democrats should focus. They're not going to be able to really gain any seats in the Senate at this point. So 50-50 Senate race in their best case scenario. They retain a majority, which is good for them because obviously Republicans with control of the Senate and the House can do a lot more, but not the best outcome they would probably hope for. Probably for them it would be 52, 53 seats, but I just don't see that happening at this point. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on my best case scenario for the Democrats. Stay tuned for more videos tomorrow, more election analysis coming out as the midterm elections so quickly approach. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Have a great day. Like the video below.